NDP, 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 NDP. Hello, everyone.
Bonjour, mes amis. Now, friends, I don't know about you, but I'm ready for some real change in Ottawa. A party that will deliver. Friends, are you ready for universal pharmacare for all?
Yes.
Are you ready for affordable childcare?
Yes.
Are you ready for a Canada that's going to live up to its commitments to fight the climate crisis?
Yes.
So am I, and my friends, are you excited to get this election going? Now, first, I want to acknowledge that we are on the unceded territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat people. And Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. This acknowledgement is more than words. It's a commitment to work in partnership towards true reconciliation. Now, thank you all so much for coming. We're here today to welcome some great candidates. We're welcoming Brian Diaz from Whitby, Diane Yoon from Spadina Fort York, Sarah Wallen from Durham, Yafet Tawade from York Southwestern, Yan Chen from Scarborough North, Kingsley Kwok from Scarborough Rouge River, Brian Chang from Toronto Centre, Laurie Campbell from Waterloo, Maria Ajameri from Humber River Back Creek, Barbara Doyle from Halliburton Kawartha Lakes Brock, Jerome Adamo from Oakville, Leah Kelsey from Willowdale, Aisha Jangajir from Guelph, Matthew Green from Hamilton, Yusuf Malik from Hamilton, West Ancaster, Dundas, Allison Sillis from Flemington, Cranbrook, Nikki Clark from Mississauga, Moulton, Lenalee Dupuis from Burlington, Jordan Boswell from Brampton Center, Sangrajit Singh from Brampton East, Melissa Edwards from Brampton North, Mandeep Kaur from Brampton South, Naveed Kaur from Brampton West, Nicholas Thompson from Don Valley East, Laurel McDonald from Don Valley West, Andrew Cash from Davenport, Branko Gasperlin from Etobicoke Lakeshore, Paul Taylor from Parkdale High Park, Heather Vickerson Wong from Etobicoke Center, Shanley Peniello from Oshawa, May Nam from Beaches East York, Keith McGrady from Scarborough Southwest, Andrea Vasquez Jimenez from York Center, Dan Jansen from Barrie, South River, Oromadante, South Springwater, Oromadante. These amazing candidates, and for this riding, Min Suk Lee. Let's hear it for Min Suk Lee. And all the other amazing candidates joining us today. I actually know that I've missed one. Alok Mukherjee for St. Paul's 1 hour ago was nominated. What a great team of candidates. What a great team of future MPs who we can count on to stand up for the Greater Toronto region.
Wow, it's wonderful to see so many familiar faces. Yeah. Now, as I was biking over here, I passed by some of the affordable housing buildings, units that are built by a city councillor called Jack Layton. I remember Jack's passion to fight for people who have no homes. And I remember Jack's anger when he witnessed Indigenous families having to sleep in shifts because their homes are just too small. And then I recall recently the parliamentary budget officer reporting that Trudeau's future housing plan for Indigenous families is less than half the funding provided over the previous 10 years. Yep, that's right. Less than half the funding over the last 10 years. You heard me. Less than the Harper years. Substantially lower. Now, not only are those desperately needing housing are going to get less support, half of Canadians' Indigenous children are chronically living in poverty. We saw the storms. We know there is a climate crisis. And we know there are long waits in emergency wards. And that is the record of the Trudeau Liberals' 4-year in government. Now, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh gets it. You know why? Because he understands hardship. He experienced it himself. And when I saw him connecting with people who are struggling, well, my friends, I see a lot of Jack Layton in Jagmeet Singh. That is why Min Seok Lee is going to take back Toronto-Danforth. And paint the riding orange again.
Now, I remember how my dad connected with everyday people, with people struggling to make ends meet, people like Victor, who was struggling to get around our city in his wheelchair and was being ignored by most politicians in our city. I remember how the death of a homeless man, Eugene Upper, on Spadina shook him to his core. Jack taught us to never forget who you're fighting for and who you're in it for. Now, I learned many lessons that I still carry to this day. And maybe the most important lesson is not to listen to the naysayers, not to shy away from the tough fight. And I have had the opportunity to work with Jagmeet and watch him since he became leader of the NDP. And let me tell you, Jagmeet Singh has that same fighting spirit. He knows who he's working for, not the wealthy and well-connected. They're already well represented by other parties. He's in it for you. And that's why he will make a great Prime Minister of Canada.
So, my friends, are you tired of Trudeau's broken promises? Are you tired of government that can find $4 billion to buy a pipeline and very little money for building affordable housing? Are you tired of the same old parties siding with the rich and powerful elites? So, are you ready for someone who's fighting for you, in it for you? So please join me in welcoming to the stage the next Prime Minister, the first racialized Prime Minister of Canada, Jagmeet Singh.
Wow. Wow. Look around you. Look at this room. This is amazing. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you. Before I go any further, I want to acknowledge the traditional territories that we're gathered on. I think it's always important to take a moment to do that. So today we are gathered on the traditional territories of the Mississaugas of New Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. And Toronto itself is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of New Credit. Now, when we acknowledge the lands we're gathered on, it's not enough to just acknowledge the lands and the people. We also have to acknowledge the injustices that the first people of this land have endured historically and ongoing, and commit collectively to remedy it. So true reconciliation is more than just words. It's about remedying that injustice. Injustice like what the Human Rights Tribunal just released a couple days ago. The fact that Indigenous children were found to be recklessly and deliberately discriminated by the Canadian government. So we want to put an end to that to make sure that never happens again. And that's why we New Democrats are committed to putting into law in Canada the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. So right now, a lot of people are thinking about their friends and family in Atlantic Canada. Hurricane Dorian hit and it devastated a lot of communities. Hundreds and thousands of Canadians in Atlantic Canada are without power, and they're in a really tough way. So we want to stand in solidarity with the people, our brothers and sisters, make sure that their safety is paramount, send word to your family, and also acknowledge the work of the first responders who are dealing with a really tough time right now. I gotta give a really huge thank you to Olivia and Mike. It was beautiful to have you on stage right now, to hear your words. I'm honored, I'm touched. Thank you for continuing a powerful legacy. Thank you so much. I'm pretty sure everyone in this room, or many people in this room, have stories of how Jack inspired them or mentored them. All of us, in some ways, are probably here today because of the inspiration that Jack led and the movement that he built. I remember when I first met Jack, he took me to the side. I was running as a candidate to become a member of parliament in the 2011 election, and we were just finishing up the Call Today parade. So he took me to the side, and he said to me, you know, a lot of people are going to tell you, because we've never won in Brampton, that it's not possible, that it can't be done. People are going to tell you that our dream of building a better Canada where no one's left behind, they're going to tell you it's impossible, that it can't be done. And he looked at me in the eyes and he said to me, don't let them tell you it can't be done. And when he said that, I could feel how much he meant it, and I believed it. I believed in that moment that, yes, we can do anything. If we come together, we work hard, we can turn those naysayers around and we can get it done. So I have to say, it fills me with a lot of pride when I think about the amazing country that we live in. It's a beautiful place. It's an incredible country. When I think about when I was a kid, though, I never imagined that someone that looked like me could ever run to be prime minister. But now kids come up to me and say, seeing you do this, I feel like I can do anything. I can be anything that I want. That's pretty cool. That's pretty inspirational. You know, this is a country where we believe in taking care of one another. We believe in taking care of each other. we're going to run a campaign built on that value. We're going to bring a message that is hopeful, that we can build the country of our dreams. A country where everyone has a place to call home. Healthcare when you need it. Clean water to drink and clean air to breathe. A good job and a bright future. My friends, over the course of my life, I've had the opportunity to meet with thousands of Canadians from across this country, to hear their stories, their hopes for themselves, for their kids, and for the future. From the schoolyards growing up in St. John's, Newfoundland, Labrador, and Windsor, to representing Brampton and now the great community of Burnaby. Everywhere I go, I meet people who are working hard. They're looking to be treated fairly, and they want to build a good life for themselves. These are the people the New Democratic Party has always worked for. These are the people I'm in it for. But for too long in Ottawa, the governments in Ottawa, Liberal and Conservative, have been making life easier for the rich and harder for everyone else. Conservative and Liberal governments have made the richest corporations pay less and less, and it's costing Canadians more and more. Nous vivons dans un pays où les plus riches continuent d'être de plus en plus riches. Un pays où la majorité de la population continue de ne pas avoir les mêmes avantages. Un pays où les gouvernements conservateurs et libéraux précédents ont laissé s'installer un système qui profite aux riches et qui laisse tomber le reste d'entre nous. Now, what does this mean for everyday people? I get a little glimpse of that frustration and that anxiety that people have right now when I think about what I went through with my family, when we were struggling with my father's addiction and job loss. At that time, the uncertainty and the fear and the worry, the pressure to make ends meet was all consuming. So trying to figure out how to make ends meet was tough. But I see that every day in families. More and more people are struggling to get by. It's tough for so many families. Those are the people I'm in it for. That's who we're in it for. That's who we're in it for. You know, we're in it for the young person who's working 2 jobs for minimum wage to try to pay off their student loan that the government is still charging interest rates on. Now, she doesn't get why the Liberal government is sticking it to young people when they just wrote off in 1 year alone $6 billion in corporate loans. We're in it for the mom who just changed jobs and lost her Medicare coverage, her healthcare coverage, and is now racking up credit card bills just to pay for the medication that her kids need. Now, she doesn't get why she doesn't have any coverage now when Liberal governments have promised it the time before, and the time before, and the time before. We're in it for young people. This young generation of people who are taking to the streets and telling us it's time to wake up to the climate urgency, to the climate crisis that's putting everything at risk. They don't get why the Trudeau government spent $4.5 billion on a pipeline and let the biggest polluters off the hook. You know, I'm in this for this 10-year-old kid that I met. He's living with a chronic illness, born with it. He's got to take injections and medication and blood work. And he's okay with his illness, but he's just worried about how much his medication costs his parents. A 10-year-old kid that feels like he's a burden to his parents. That's just wrong. But why does this kid feel like he's a burden? Why are people feeling this way? Well, let's look at Trudeau's track record to figure it out. Liberals met with big pharma and insurance companies 875 times. And the result is Canadians are paying some of the highest prices for drugs in the world. Now, Trudeau's government also met with the well-connected lobbyists of the big telecom industry. They met with them 565 times. Now, as a result, Canadians are paying some of the highest prices in the world for cell phone and internet services. And on top of that, this government is giving $50 million in government subsidies to Rogers, Bell, and TELUS. And on top of that, Trudeau and his government had over 1,500 meetings with the oil and gas sectors. So it should come as no surprise then that why Liberals broke a promise to end the billions of dollars of subsidies and why they spent $4.5 billion of your money to buy a pipeline. See, the thing is, Trudeau says the right words in public, but in meetings behind closed doors, he's ready to do anything that his corporate buddies ask him to do. My friends, 4 years ago, Trudeau charmed us with some pretty words and a lot of empty promises. And just like decades of past governments, Mr. Trudeau has been caving in to the demands of those at the very top, the richest corporations. It's clear, Justin Trudeau is not who he pretended to be. And my friends, Andrew Scheer is not going to be any better. The Conservatives are not the answer. Harper made the plan to cut $30 billion in our healthcare services. Trudeau put that plan in action. And Mr. Scheer is just going to keep that plan in place or maybe make it worse. Mr. Scheer is going to keep on cutting. Cutting taxes for the very rich, sure, but it's going to cut healthcare and the services that you and your family are counting on. That's exactly what Stephen Harper did. That's what Doug Ford is doing right now here in Ontario. I guess people don't like Doug Ford very much here. But that's what Conservatives always do. They'll offer you a little bit of money, but you'll pay the price with more expensive drug coverage, more expensive health care, more expensive homes and cell phone bills, more expensive child care, more expensive tuition, and an ever-worsening climate crisis. Mes amis, chaque 4 ans, les libéraux et les conservateurs viennent lancer une poignée de change sur la table et espérant acheter votre silence pour notre 4 ans. Durant l'élection qui s'en vient, lorsque vous entendrez les libéraux et les conservateurs se chercher des excuses pour continuer de faire des cadeaux à ceux qui n'en méritent pas. So this election is clear. It comes down to a very clear choice. Who can you count on to fight for you? Friends, I love Canada. I love this country. And I believe we can make it even better. This election, New Democrats are proudly offering something different. A new deal for people. We can expand on Medicare to cover prescription drugs for all and then extend it to dental care, mental health, and vision care. We can do it, but only if we stand up to the big lobbyists of the big pharma and insurance companies. We can build more affordable housing, starting with 500,000 new homes to ease the housing crisis. We can do it, but only if we take on money launderers and speculators. We can provide relief for Canadians now paying some of the highest prices in the world for cell phones and internet. We can do it, but only if we stand up to the large telecom companies. And we can act now to cut climate pollution and create 300,000 more jobs in a clean economy. We can do it, but only if we have the determination to stand up to the big polluters and end fossil fuel subsidies. Now, some are going to say that this can't be done, that we can't afford it. But my friends, we're going to do something else too. Something that the Liberals and the Conservatives would never do. We are going to ask the people at the very top to pay a little more. We are going to end offshore tax havens, close the loopholes. We're going to close the loopholes, and we're going to put a tax on people who have net wealth of over $20 million. Now, we all have different reasons for why we became a part of this movement. We have different people that we're fighting for. The reasons why we want to make things better. There's lots of reasons that we're coming together. And I know it's not easy. It's tough to fight for a better future. And I think about what my mom always told me. She told me, you've got to have chardi kala. Now, chardi kala is rising spirits. But not just any sort of rising spirits. It's the courageous optimism in the face of hopeless odds when you dig deep and you keep on pushing forward. In a lot of ways, that's the essence of what it means to be a New Democrat. Fighting for what's right, despite how hard the odds are. Now, each of you has your own reason for why you believe in the power of working together. And my friends, we will deliver for people, but only if we're bold. Only if we have the courage to take on the powerful interests at the very top. Quand on veut des résultats différents, il faut faire des choix différents. Après le 21 octobre, si vous voulez un gouvernement qui travaille pour vous, il faut élire une équipe qui se bat pour vous. Now, we have a really exciting opportunity. We've got 43 days to show Canadians how we can make a difference for them. And we're ready to go, right? We're ready to go. And we've got a terrific team of candidates here in Toronto. And a team of candidates from coast to coast to coast. A team that truly represents the Canada we live in. And we're going to reach out to people in all their communities. We want people to know we're all in it for you. And when Canadians come to choose who to trust with their vote, I want them to know we won't let them down. We can only do this if we come together, so are you ready? My friends, will you work hard to deliver on our commitments to Canadians? Will you help me bring our message to Canadians across this city and across this country? Will you help us knock on doors and make phone calls and put up signs in this election? And will you donate whatever you can to make a difference for people? Will you join us on this great journey to build an even better Canada? Then, my friends, let's get started. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.